Good evening and a warm welcome to the news. For the next hour and a half, we'll be in different parts of Nigeria to keep you up to speed on developments around the country, tracing the impact of government policies in many cases, drawing attention to unfolding events as they affect Nigeria and Nigerians. We will also be in some locations around the world, especially in the West African sub-region where messages of shared aspirations continue to echo. Tonight, ECOWAS commemorates its 50th anniversary with the reenactment of its treaty as leaders and founding fathers extol the ideals of the sub-region's economic community.
Let me say this: believe in democracy, advising all members of ECOWAS in the countries.
In our sectoral review, we will evaluate the realities in the power sector and the interventions being switched on to achieve better outputs. On crime and security, we have an update on the investigation into the slain divisional police officer in Kano. And still on security, the Nigerian Customs Service hands over confiscated drugs to Livestock in Kano. And in business, we will be tracking key movements and deals in the financial market as many will be counting every penny, while Francisco Villa is on the sport for sports tonight as the Super Eagles of Nigeria are right now trading tackles with Ghana in a friendly match, better known as the Jollof Derby. Let's see who wins this one. It's a loaded package, and as we say, the taste of the pudding is in the eating. I'm Ray John, and this is News Extra. Welcome. Of course, ECOWAS is 50 and it leads tonight as great achievements dotted with some challenges for ECOWAS in the last 50 years of existence. But looking into the future with hopes, President Bola Tinubu is charging leaders in the region to match policies with action to avail people of the region a greater deal of the benefits inherent in regional cooperations. President Tinubu, who is also the chairman of ECOWAS Authority of Heads of State and Government, gave the charge at the commemorative ceremony of the 50th anniversary of the West African regional body. State House correspondent Musbao Danwahab feeds us.
History has been rewritten in Lagos. It all started here on 28th of May 1975 at the Nigerian Institute of International Affairs. Despite the differences in their tongues, colors, and colonial backgrounds, the futuristic West African leaders forged a common front with hope for a formidable bloc. 50 years down the lane, ECOWAS has endured through time as it promotes regional integration, trade, peace and security, among others. Along the line, the fabric of the bond has been tested by current dynamics with some dissenting voices from the Sahel parts of the sub-region. But then, amidst the realities, the body has decided to reinforce the building blocks and commitments of a regional bloc. They believe that they are stronger when they are together for a brighter future.
Hereby declare, recommit to the enhancement of the livelihood and well-being of our citizens by promoting peace and security, consolidating democratic governance and rule of law, strengthening economic integration, expanding trade and investments, improving interconnectivity, enhancing unity and solidarity, as well as achieving resilient, inclusive, and sustainable development in our region.
The sitting chairman of ECOWAS, Bola Tinubu, and other current leaders were here, making history again as they hold up the vision of their founding fathers. It was a reenactment of what these 15 founding fathers did 5 decades ago, and certainly a nostalgia for the only surviving one out of them, General Yakubu Gowon of Nigeria. After the declaration of commitments, they moved on for other commemorative activities. Here, it was thank you to those President Tinubu described as the wise men for their vision that facilitated the regional integration. The chairman highlighted the activities that have characterized ECOWAS' journey, the achievements and challenges, and now, more important to him, is how to engender a greater future for the body and its peoples.
Our greatest task now is implementation. We are lagging behind on implementation. And I urge all member states to match policy with action. Let us, our citizens, feel the real impact of our shared efforts. Our young people.
And for Nigeria, it is a promise of continued support to the existence of ECOWAS and prosperity of the citizens. In Lagos, Musbal and Wahab, NTA News.
And 5 decades of successful regional solidarity in West Africa has laid a path to a brighter future where the vision of its founding fathers will deliver an ECOWAS of the people. President of the ECOWAS Commission, Dr. Omar Aliyu Toure, at the 50th anniversary celebrations of the regional bloc in Lagos, reaffirmed its commitment to keep the aspirations of the citizens alive. Kelvin Awanwaye is our guide.
For the past 50 years, ECOWAS, regarded as one of the most vibrant regional blocs in Africa, has carried the aspiration of over 400 million citizens. But from now on, the focus has shifted to a people-friendly ECOWAS, one that thinks boldly and faces the challenges of development with courage. That is what leaders of the sub-region have recommitted to at these events, to build a sub-region that is peaceful, prosperous, and politically stable. The vision of free movement of persons and goods, common external tariff, trade liberalization, effort at single currency and execution of critical infrastructure are the foundation for further growth, the ECOWAS Commission President says are some of the achievements of the past 50 years.
From the days of ECOMOG, when ECOWAS successfully put an end to violent conflicts in the region, to this day of ours, we're focusing on promoting youth, entrepreneurship, and digital economy through support to startups and investments in infrastructure.
For the only surviving founding father of ECOWAS, General Yakubu Gowon, the vision that birthed the regional bloc was simple but profound. It was to foster economic integration, strengthen political and diplomatic cooperation, and promote peace and security, for which he is immensely proud and fulfilled 50 years after.
In recent years, we have witnessed the troubling resurgence of military coups in some of our member states. We thought that was over, but it seems as though personal ambition, but let me say this, believe in democracy, advising all members of ECOWAS and in the countries.
Tributes were paid to successive presidents of ECOWAS Commission who have beared the torch of regional integration for the last 50 years. In spite of the current challenges in reduction of number of member states from 15 to 12, the resolve is to forge ahead in unity, because standing together guarantees a better future for the citizens. From Lagos, Kelvin Awanwaye, NTA News.
Meanwhile, Nigeria's president and chairman of authorities of the heads of state and government in ECOWAS, Bola Tinubu, has joined other leaders in the region in signing the ECOWAS 50th anniversary card in a symbolic reenactment of its 1975 founding treaty. At a commemorative ceremony afterwards, President Tinubu charged member nations to use the Golden Jubilee as a platform to amplify the sub-region's voice in the international community. Hingino John Adams reports.
Exactly 50 years ago, West African leaders gathered in this conference chamber at the Nigerian Institute of International Affairs, Lagos, to sign a treaty birthing ECOWAS, a bond that has deepened regional integration in West Africa. 5 decades later, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, in the same historic chambers, signed the ECOWAS 50th anniversary card, reenacting the May 28, 1975 signing of the original document by the founding fathers. General Yakubu Gowon, the last man standing, witnessed the occasion with nostalgia. Speaking afterwards at a commemorative ceremony, both President Tinubu and General Gowon talked about the journey so far.
I commend our former executive secretaries and commission presidents who have helped the leadership build the ECOWAS into a formidable force for peace, progress, stability.
Let us remember that ECOWAS is not an institution for the leaders of our region alone, but a community for the people.
ECOWAS emerged from the bold imagination of visionary leaders, the founding fathers, who understood long before many that Africa's strength would be forged not in fragmentation, but in unity.
The series of events to mark ECOWAS at 50 once again demonstrates Nigeria's crucial role in aligning with the ideals of the founding fathers of ECOWAS, thus giving the body a stronger voice in the international community. In Lagos, Hingino John Adams, NTA News.
And I have my colleague Joel Popola at the Nigerian International Institute of International Affairs talking about NIA, where he joins us live now, where a sideline of one of the activities marking ECOWAS at 50 has just been held. Joel, please feed us. What's the latest at the venue?
Thank you, Yenre. I'm here at the Nigerian Institute of International Affairs here in Lagos, where the ECOWAS journey began with the signing of the treaty on the 28th of May in 1975. Now, 50 years down the line, the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and other West African leaders represented were here to renew commitment to the treaty, which was signed in 1975. This time, the reenactment is to realign the vision of the economic community of West African states back to the ideals and dreams of the founding fathers of ECOWAS. The reenactment is also to ensure a collective action to address challenges militating against West African countries. Now, 50 years down the line, you will all agree, we can all agree that the challenges emerging are new, thus requiring new solutions and new paradigms to tackle these challenges. Now, stakeholders who earlier gathered here at a roundtable conference on ECOWAS, an African model at 50, resilience and future prospects, agreed that collective action to solve some of these teething problems that are re-emerging, such as insecurity, violence and extremism, and other issues like climate change, food insecurity, and other challenges, requires collective action. Chairing that particular deliberation, leading the deliberation, was the Chairman Nigerian Institute of International Affairs, Professor Bolaji Akiyemi, and also presided over by Dr. Aliyu, the President of the ECOWAS Commission. They all agreed that all African countries should rally round and pursue a common cause to tackle some of the challenges militating against the sub-region. They all unanimously agreed that ECOWAS at 50 has recorded a lot of giant strides, especially with the ECOWAS parliaments, the ECOWAS courts, and also ECOWAS has remained a force to be reckoned with in the African continent and indeed the entire world. This they want to continue to sustain through collective efforts, collective synergy and action.
All right, many thanks, Joel, for that update. So much, commitment for the future. Thank you once again. And now joining us in the studio to talk more on ECOWAS at 50 is a former ECOWAS diplomat, Haruna Wakani. Many thanks for joining us, sir.
Thank you for having me.
All right, now ECOWAS is 50. How do you envision ECOWAS evolving over the next decade to further strengthen regional integration and cooperation among member states?
Well, we thank God that today, 50 years after the signing of the Lagos Treaty, ECOWAS is 50, and the surviving founding father of ECOWAS, General Yakubu Gowon, is still there to share in the euphoria of this moment. Secondly, Nigeria is back at the helms of affairs of ECOWAS because the reason why General Gowon became very prominent in the formation of ECOWAS was, as of that time, Nigeria, being the giant of Africa, promoted vigorously among his colleagues the formation of this regional body. ECOWAS has shown clearly in the last 50 years that there is no regional body of comparison to it in Africa. There are several of them that were recommended by the Economic Commission of Africa that promoted the actual forming of these regional blocks. These regional blocks meant to be regional building blocks of the former OAU. And ECOWAS happens to be the most successful of all of them because today...
Many thanks, Haruna Wakani. Critics may want to disagree with you. In your own view, away from the successes now, what do you think are the significant challenges ECOWAS has faced in the last 50 years?
Well, there have been plenty of challenges. First and foremost, the most important was the change in direction from a regional economic body to a body that had to do with civil strife and the restoration of democracy in some countries as a result of conflicts that broke out. You couldn't have economic integration where there was conflict going on. So by the 1990s, we have seen what ECOMOG had to do as a regional force to restore democracy to Liberia and Sierra Leone and some other countries, maintain same democracy in some others without necessarily military interventions, and successfully midwifed a lot of programs and projects that are still standing. The Parliament, for instance, the Court of Justice, the single passport, single custom declaration, the community levy that helps ECOWAS to move forward, so many programs and projects to facilitate trade within the member states.
All right.
However, there are challenges, of course, that are always there with such a body.
Of course, when you talk about trade and investment, the single currency will be one of the issues, in that regard. But let's talk about how ECOWAS has helped, develop the countries economically now. In your own take, now that ECOWAS is drifting to ECOWAS of the people, what do you foresee happening?
Well, ECOWAS of the people was a philosophy that was adopted some years ago to say, instead of ECOWAS integrating as governments of the sub-region, let the people, actual people, for whom these policies and programs are being brought about, to actually feel the impact of these policy positions. And for that reason, things like the free movement of persons, right of residence, right of establishment, and all those things related to it, free trade, single customs, and then the single currency that has remained one of the greatest problems of ECOWAS so far, I think, are what ECOWAS is gearing to achieve in the next 50 years or part of this journey, the second part of this journey.
All right, fantastic. Many thanks, Haruna Wakani, for being our guest, and thank you for sharing your insight with us. We wish ECOWAS the very best, of course. Thank you once again.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
All right, now let's look at other issues. As the Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Musa, and the Diplomatic Corps in Nigeria have joined the rest of the world to commemorate International Day of Peacekeepers with a call on leaders to resist all threats to global peace. Ayodeji Makinde was at the United Nations House in Abuja, where the contributions of serving and fallen heroes were acknowledged.
Just like a base station coming to life, the armed forces line up, not for final orders before battle, but for a ceremonial parade marking a global mission that began in 1948, launched by the United Nations. This mission has aimed to build bridges, foster peace and uphold global security. With 11 active peacekeeping missions around the world today, the call is louder than ever. Embrace dialogue, resolve conflicts and prevent further escalation in troubled regions.
From leadership role in Liberia and Sierra Leone to contribution to Darfur and Mali, Nigeria has consistently demonstrated strong commitment and leadership in peacekeeping operation.
Just the way the world stood up against ISIS some few years ago, I want to appeal that the world must stand up against the threats that is happening in the Sahelan region.
It has been 65 years since Nigeria first sent troops on a peacekeeping mission to the Democratic Republic of Congo. Special guest of honor and former force commander General Martin Luther Agwai reflects on that legacy, highlighting Nigeria's contribution to over 40 peacekeeping missions and the deployment of more than 50,000 personnel.
Nigeria and the United Nations share a common purpose: to protect the most vulnerable and provide support to countries in transition.
As these brave men and women of honor march off beneath the iconic blue flag, they do so in silent readiness, awaiting the next call to save humanity. In Abuja, Ayodeji Makinde, NTA News.
Let's pause here. There's more news after the short break. Stay with us. Many thanks for staying with us. The Nigerian Air Force has intensified round-the-clock air operations across multiple theaters of internal security, decisively dealing with terrorists, insurgents and criminal networks in a bold reaffirmation of its commitment to national security. The Chief of the Air Staff, Air Marshal Hassan Bala Abubakar, directed air component commanders to sustain continuous air dominance across the northeast, northwest, north central, southeast and south-south regions. A statement by Nigerian Air Force indicates that the renewed operational intensity follows strategic recalibrations and tighter synergy between air and ground components, particularly in Operation Hardin Cake and other joint task force operations nationwide. And still on security matters, the federal government, through the Ministry of Police Affairs, has handed over state-of-the-art light tactical armored vehicles to the Nigeria Police Force. The Minister of Police Affairs, Ibrahim Gaida, described the event as a significant milestone and a clear demonstration of President Bola Tinubu's commitment to national security. The minister notes that the armored combat vehicles were procured from the ministry's 2024 operational budget and emphasized the vehicle's local content design, tailored to withstand Nigeria's unique climate and terrain.
Nigeria Police Force operates across numerous zones and commands, and these vehicles cannot reach every location immediately. However, please rest assured that the administration of President Bola Tinubu and the Ministry of Police Affairs are dedicated to continually equipping and supporting the force to fulfill its vital duties.
We are receiving these critical assets at a time when they are most needed, and they will surely make significant impact. This donation will enhance our equipment capabilities and bolster our efforts, our anti-crime efforts in the areas where they will be deployed.
France's Forum reports that the deployment of these advanced tactical vehicles is expected to promote operational efficiency as personnel confront modern security challenges nationwide. Meanwhile, the Kano State Police Command has apprehended 41 suspects in connection to the killing of Rano Divisional Police Officer following miscreants' attack on the police station. The command's public relations officer, Abdullahi Haruna Kiawa, who confirmed the arrest, said full-scale investigation has been carried out to unravel the circumstances that led to the attack and the culprits face the full wrath of the law. Elizabeth Ila Lamido reports.
Trouble began when a motorcycle mechanic was arrested for alleged reckless riding under the influence of drugs. He reportedly took ill while in custody and died the following morning at the Reno General Hospital. The incident sparked outrage, leading to a mob attack on the Reno Police Division. Parts of the station and several vehicles were set ablaze in the chaos that ensued. The divisional police officer, who sustained injuries during the attack, was later confirmed dead at the Kano Teaching Hospital. Police have since arrested 41 suspects in connection with the violence, as calm gradually returns to the community. The Commissioner of Police, Ibrahim Adamu Bakori, visited Rano to condole with the emir and ordered a thorough investigation to uncover the root cause of the unrest and ensure that justice is served.
The arrowheads on the attack of the divisional police officer Rano have been identified, and a substantial number of suspects have been arrested. All those found culpable will be investigated, as no stone will be left unturned to ensure that all those that participated in the gruesome murder of the DPO are arrested and made to face the full wrath of the law.
The police further reassured of their commitment to restoring confidence in law enforcement and ensuring peace and security in Kano State. Elizabeth Yilalamido, NTA News.
Away from security matters now, let's look at the National Assembly as the operationalization of a modern tax system in Nigeria is in the offing as both the Senate and House of Representatives this Wednesday gave the final legislative clearance to the legal framework. National Assembly correspondent Salami Ali reports that both chambers have adopted their harmonized report on the 4 tax reform bills at plenary.
Clause 64 tax investigation, Senate version adopted. Clause 66 remission of penalty, House version adopted.
The adoption of the reports on the 4 tax bills was preceded by the harmonization of areas of disparity in the Senate and House of Representatives versions of the bills by the Conference Committee. The differences are in areas such as distribution of value-added tax, VAT, authorization of tax exemptions, and appointments of executive chairman, among several others. Another simultaneous approvals in the 2 chambers was the passage of the 2025 statutory budget of the Federal Capital Territory. The budget size was increased from 1.7 trillion naira earlier proposed to 1.8 trillion, 70% of which is for capital projects.
We have seen that every area have been captured.
In subsequent budgets, ensure that 70% of the expenditure is deployed to capital projects.
All is being done now through the current minister in reshaping the FCT.
I commend also the governor of FCT, the president, commander-in-chief of the armed forces for the quantum leap in infrastructural development that we have witnessed in the FCT. I commend the minister, I commend our committees, both in the House of Representatives and in the Senate, and pray that the kind of development that we are seeing here will dovetail into other areas of Nigeria.
Lawmakers in both the red and green chambers also passed for second reading the River State 2025 budget, which has 1.480 trillion naira as proposed figure, targeting infrastructure development, job creation, education, health, agriculture, women and youth empowerment as areas of priority.
In the absence of the River State House of Assembly to approve the budget proposal for the emergency rule for government of River State. This budget is specifically for the emergency rule government of River State, aimed at providing essential services.
Senate has in the meantime approved the Nigeria Police Trust Fund 2024 budget of 124 billion naira with a call for enhanced policing across the country, just as lawmakers adopted a motion urging authorities to tackle insecurity in parts of Taraba State.
The Nigerian Police Trust Fund should expedite the implementation of the 2024 budget to enhance policing efforts and address security challenges.
Senate has adjourned plenary to Tuesday, 17th June 2025 for the Eid al-Kabir festivities and the May 29th and June 12th Democracy Day activities. From the National Assembly, Lami Ali, NTA News.
Meanwhile, the Green Chamber has turned its legislative spotlight on Nigeria's foreign service, calling for government intervention to redeem the reported poor state of Nigerian missions abroad, particularly in the United States of America. The House also urges the federal government to immediately appoint Nigeria's permanent representative at the United Nations and ambassador to the United States of America. National Assembly correspondent Mitari Ikme reports.
House Minority Leader Kingsley Chinda, in a motion, describes the infrastructural conditions of Nigeria's missions in New York, Washington, D.C. and Atlanta as appalling following a recent oversight visit by the Nigeria-U.S. Parliamentary Friendship Group.
The House notes that such lapses as well as delays in appointing foreign diplomats could compromise Nigeria's global reputation.
For 2 years running, Nigeria has failed to replace Nigerian permanent representative to the United Nations and Nigerian High Commissioner to the United Nations, who chairs the Committee on Peace. This dereliction, among other issues, have created a negative perception of Nigeria globally and will potentially harm our aspiration for a permanent seat in the United Nations Security Council.
In a separate motion, lawmakers lamented the living conditions of internally displaced persons in various camps across the country, while calling for a structured reintegration plan
that will be providing cash assistance, food and clothing, and psychological and emotional counseling.
It must be that the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, in collaboration with the relevant or respective state government, should work hand in hand.
This motion is referred to the Committees on Emergency and Disaster Preparedness and State and Local Government Committee for further legislative action.
On security, the House urged the Inspector General of Police to establish a mobile police camp in Bakori local government area of Katsina State to ward off bandits and kidnappers.
Lack of a mobile camp in Gugod has hindered the response to distress calls and increased violence, necessitating the establishment of a dedicated camp.
Among bills that scaled second reading is a bill for an act seeking 15% women representation in armed forces recruitment and personnel appointments.
And ensure that the establishment of a unit to monitor and maintain records of gender-responsive compliance program and disaggregated data collation and for related matters.
The House has adjourned plenary till the 17th of June 2025 to enable lawmakers observe the Salah holiday as well as the June 12th Democracy Day activities. From the National Assembly, Mitari Ikwen, NTA News.
Many thanks, Mitari. And away from the National Assembly now, with the evolving diverse dimension being employed by criminals to perpetrate frauds in the country, the law enforcement agencies are equally brazen up and moving ahead of the criminals in the acts. This is as the federal government unveils a database of already forfeited assets illicitly acquired by criminals in the country. Olabode Arewa has all the details.
The seriousness of the matter and the desire to address it is evident on their faces. This is because the negative effects of corruption and the resultant illicit acquisition of assets by corrupt officials has become an issue of concern to the government.
Corruption weakens our institution, erodes trust in governance, and deprives our people of the service and opportunities they deserve.
Data from the Federal Ministry of Justice says that at least 248 billion naira was recovered from illicit sources in 2024 alone, requiring an effective model of managing them.
In this digital age, financial crimes are becoming increasingly sophisticated. Our approach to asset recovery must evolve to match these advancements. We must invest in AI-driven forensic accounting tools.
The enactment of POCA and its accompanying regulations has greatly enhanced NDLEA's capacity to trace, seize, and forfeit illicit funds and assets.
This necessitated the compilation of the database of forfeited assets, backed up by the process of crime regulations of 2024.
Huge amounts of Nigeria's wealth left the country under the cover of night. We have been a cooperative partner in recovering stolen assets and returning them to Nigeria in the light of day.
With international cooperation as necessary ingredients to combating fraudulent financial deals, Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice is confident that the federal government will ensure the war against graft is comprehensively won. In Abuja, Olabode Arewa, NTA News.
In other news, the Presidential Initiative on Unlocking Healthcare Value Chain, PVAC, has reported smooth progress in implementing President Bola Tinubu's executive order aimed at boosting local production of healthcare products, reducing equipment and consumable costs, and promoting local investments. National Coordinator, PVAC, Dr. Abdul Mokhtar, says the Technical Working Group, TWG, meeting in Abuja identified some challenges which are being addressed promptly. Dr. Mokhtar added that the goal is to increase and sustain local production, investment and output while reducing healthcare equipment and consumable cost. The TWG, comprising representatives from PVAC, NAFDAC, Ministries of Health, Finance, Trade and Investment, FIRS, Nigeria Customs Service and the Standards Organization of Nigeria, urged pharmaceutical companies to adhere to set rules and regulations for easy and quick access to benefits.
We are going to have a sensitization workshop with the industry, the pharmaceutical industry and health product manufacturers, so that again the utilization and the ability to tap into the resources and into the platforms that are being developed will be quite efficient.
We're able to identify certain areas that may require improvement, and we've been able to map out strategies that we will use to address those gaps.
We want to
Meanwhile, to create a friendly world where women and girls are not limited by the biological process of menstruation, WashAid Nigeria is strengthening strategic partnerships to build models and support systems that will ensure that no woman or girl is forced to choose between her health and education. Elizabeth Omori reports that at a forum at the instance of WashAid in commemoration of this year's Menstrual Hygiene Day, discussions focused on ending period poverty.
Menstruation, the normal monthly process where the uterine lining is shed if pregnancy does not occur. It is a biological process that affects the education and health of many women and girls. In Nigeria, 1 in 4 girls faces difficulty managing her period due to lack of access to affordable and hygienic menstrual products, which lead to social isolation. As an integral part of a woman's health, this comprehensive period education by WashAid Nigeria is to normalize conversations on menstruation and safety.
A few states have started pushing for pad banks within schools. We think that legislations need to be very clear. The government needs to support fast-tracking the national policy on menstrual health and hygiene, and then to get states to domesticate it. Once we have clear laws and regulations, it's easy to put in place the system and mechanisms that will push them forward.
WashAid is currently supporting the Ministry of Women Affairs on a menstrual health and hygiene policy, expected to be validated and endorsed by the end of June 2025, to understand barriers and dismantle taboos in order for women and girls to actualize their goals without limitations.
We are supporting with facilities in schools where we ensure that there's constant water. Boreholes are solar powered. It means that there's always water for the girls to clean and wash up.
It requires commitments to ensuring that every school, every workplace, every community has the infrastructure and awareness needed to support menstrual dignity.
WashAid and other key actors recommend provision of free sanitary towels, community education, and continuous investment in women's health. In Abuja, Elizabeth Omori, NTA News.
Away from health-related matters, let's look at ICT now. Just imagine a Nigeria where no one is left behind in the digital age. Well, Globalcom, Nigeria's own telecommunication trailblazer, is at it again, forging a powerful alliance with Huawei and the Ministry of Communications, Innovation and Digital Economy to provide Ibuatu community of Kura in Gwagwalada FCT with telecommunication facilities in its Digital Village project. This isn't just technology. It's a promise, the very first tried in President Bola Tinubu's agenda to deploy 7,000 telecommunication towers and bring about 20 million unconnected Nigerians into the digital fold. Chimdima Endubesi has all the details.
In a small corner of Kura, Gwagwalada Area Council lies Ibuatu, quiet, remote, and off the digital grid. A phone call or search on the internet was simply out of reach. No bars, no broadband. 15-year-old Zainab Mohammed, driven by one big dream to become a medical doctor, lives here. A real challenge in today's fast-paced digital competitive era, you would agree. Thanks to a public-private partnership between Globalcom, Huawei, and the Ministry of Communications, Innovation and Digital Economy to bridge the digital divide, Ibuatu is now connected under the Rural Telephony Project. With just 2 medical staff, the local clinic now runs on telemedicine. And in this modest, smart classroom, students are now learning from top teachers across the globe.
The only network available here is Globalcom because of this new infrastructure being put here. The financial inclusion is there. No, there is the smartphone that Huawei is giving out. People can download mobile money on it, do financial transactions. Then there is an agricultural app on the phone as well, whereby people can see weather forecast, can see price of cocoa, prices of gero.
From buffering dreams to high-speed possibilities, this collaboration isn't just about connectivity. It's about equity, hope, and the power to dream out loud.
Over 80% of the communities that are unconnected are sadly in the north. It's a significant part of the country that we have decent connectivity. So this project is going to cover all those communities in the north that are not connected, but also then balance it out in the rest of the country as well to make sure that we can bring nearly all of our people. We just donated about 125 mobile phones to the chief. That phone is actually quite significant. It's one of the cheapest mobile smartphones in the world, which we're hoping to test out in Nigeria and eventually introduce to our people. So the ministry is also working on affordable devices to ensure that we can partner with the right organization to bring cheap phones in, but also explore how we can start to manufacture.
These facilities are giving young people like Zainab the opportunity to chase their dreams and compete on a level playing field with their peers worldwide who have always had access to telecommunication services. In Abuja, Chimdima Ndubisi, NTA News.
Did I hear you say fantastic? Wow. Now, residents of Orio Osemede and neighboring communities in Benin City now have an ultra-modern health center to cater to their healthcare needs, courtesy of the Azura power plant as part of its corporate social responsibility. The project is in partnership with Tosil Chamrai and the Edo State government. Amuli Okolo was there.
For Azura, its CSR projects hinged on 4 pillars: health, education, livelihood, and infrastructure, which the Orio Semede Healthcare Center satisfies. This tripartite project is not just to help the people, but to support the Edo State government further achieve its desire of providing good and sustainable healthcare for its people.
It's not just about building this health clinic, it's also making sure that it's sustainably managed. In fact, we are so proud that even 2 days to the commissioning, we have our first child here with a doctor at hand, nurses and everything assisting to make sure that things work very well.
Social impact is very important to us. It is not what we do to give back to the community, no. It is what we do to partner with the community.
In this case, it's actually free. This reduces maternity and infant mortality and complements our government's efforts to revamp primary healthcare across Edo State. Our people will come here to receive healthcare services, and we are glad that it has been cited in this case.
Along with the healthcare center is the construction of a 1.1 kilometer Orio-Senwede community road to ease movement to the community healthcare center.
One of the social amenities is that other neighboring communities, because of this, they can come here. It promotes the image of the community.
No need of going to town to go and treat your children. We now have a health center in your community.
The health center is equipped with essential medical tools for doctors, laboratory and pharmaceutical services, as well as provide immunization and maternal and child health care services to Azura power plant's host communities and 5 others within its catchment area. In Orio-Senwede community, Anwuli Okolo, NTA News.
Elsewhere, more than 700 girls, including those with special needs, are set to benefit from the newly launched Inspire project, an initiative designed to revolutionize science education in Nigerian secondary schools. The project, Innovation, Partnerships for Inclusive and Relevant Education, brought together the ExxonMobil Foundation, Pan-Africa, and the Tech Women Alumni Association of Nigeria in collaborative effort to provide students and teachers with resources, training, and cutting-edge tools to enhance STEM learning. Charles Alpha reports.
The Inspire project is a national initiative designed to transform STEM education in secondary schools with focus on addressing existing resource and performance gaps in science and technology education.
You know, most of us, when we went to school, never saw some of the equipment we use in science. So this project is to ensure that the students who are studying science have a feel of the equipment.
So it's not just tools, but that endless, world of opportunities that lie ahead for young people.
We have taken time to think through every component of what we can present to the school and sustain interest.
This foundation, they are supporting the government.
Through initiatives such as Inspire, we see a direct correlation between the building of local capacity and long-term benefits.
At the launch of the project and unveiling of the Inspired Box in Abuja, the Vice President, Kashim Shettima, represented by his Special Advisor on General Duties, Aliu Modibo, said the drive of the present administration is to support a functional nation to save the future of science, tech and robotics, where women, particularly girls and those with special needs, are not left out, but to transform to be children of next generation of problem solvers.
As we celebrate this innovation, I must also highlight our commitment through the Academic Support and Skills Enhancement Program, ASEP. Through ASEP, we are helping students master the skills that matter most in today's world, skills that will enable them to lead, create, and compete.
I thought I would talk a little bit about tech women because I'm hoping that in about 10 or 15 years, many of the faces that I see in this crowd will be perhaps part of tech women.
Charles Alpha, NTA News.
An adage full of wisdom has it that we should not be great to begin, but rather begin to be great. This is perhaps the best description of the silent revolution currently ongoing in the livestock sector of Nigeria's agricultural value chain. Revolution with a great promise of getting it right and making the sector economically sound. Already, 20 states have been covered with assorted projects. programs and activities aimed at exploiting and harnessing their peculiar livestock potential for enhanced productivity. Yusuf Jika reports that propelling force behind this silent revolution is the Livestock Productivity and Resilience Support Project, a World Bank-assisted program.
Nigeria's livestock sector has high economic potential but suffers from outdated practices. This persistent underperformance is precisely what Livestock Productivity and Resilience Support Project, known as LPRES, is targeting to reverse by improving productivity, efficiency and sustainability through strategic policies and practical support. The World Bank's Livestock Project aims to boost productivity by building infrastructure across 20 Nigerian states tailored to each state's livestock strains. Interventions include water supply, pasture development, improved nutrition and processing centers for dairy, poultry and meat.
At the national, we are doing a lot of institutional support. We are upscaling vaccine production of NVRI. We have done a lot of work on the pasture multiplication center in Napri. We have done some support to some basic livestock production and animal health institutions.
It's boosting poultry and piggery value chains with modern facilities and quick returns. It supports sheep and goats through improved breeding and vaccinations. The project also turns animal waste into useful products like fertilizer and biogas, promoting environmental sustainability.
The state came and helped us with the water point, then the federal construct dry shed, hay barn, then pasture paddock. These three projects has been on and it has been completed.
Nigeria is now better equipped to transform its livestock sector by addressing inefficiencies, empowering farmers, boosting the rural economy, and building a resilient, competitive industry. In Abuja, Yusuf Jika, NTA News.
Another break is due. Please remain tuned. Thank you for remaining with us. Now time to talk business, and Benny Adams is here. Benny.
Thank you, Yeri. And talking business, as Nigeria's Akinwumi Adesina, president of the African Development Bank Group, prepares to take a bow out of the bank after 10 years of exceptional service, African leaders, captains of industry from around the world, gathered to celebrate exceptional leadership at the ongoing 60th AFDB annual meetings in Abuja. Dr. Adesina says the bank has invested $102 billion in support of Africa in the last 10 years of its administration and $118 billion in the 50 years of its existence. This is in addition to impacting 565 million people.
With access to electricity, 104 million people with food security, 121 million people with access to improved transport, 128 million people with access to improved health services, 67 million people with improved access to information and communications technology, 63 million people with access to drinking water, and 34 million people with access to sanitation. The bank accelerated regional integration with massive support for infrastructure to support the African Continental Free Trade Area. Over the past 10-year period, under my presidency of the African Development Bank, we would have provided, Your Excellencies, a total of $102 billion in support of Africa. This represents 46% of all the financing of the bank since its establishment in 1964. The African Development Bank financed over $55 billion in support of infrastructure, from roads to rails to airports to seaports to digital and communications, health, water, and sanitation.
And moving on, the head of the Integrated Personnel and Payroll Information System, IPPIS unit, in the Office of the Accountant General of the Federation, Ikwem Vijay, says, in dealing with people, process, and equipment, errors are bound to occur, but assured of his office commitment and capacity to resolving issues around payment of federal government staff entitlement with efficiency and promptness. This was at a staff held a talk with Professor Felicia Anuma of the University of Abuja on how to stay healthy enough to manage the payroll of the Federation.
In any human endeavor, there could be some unmet needs, but our determination is to clear such doubt, satisfy those concerns, and make sure that even organizations that are not yet on IPPIS will desire to be on IPPIS because of the efficiency of service we present and we serve, and because of the promptness with which we attend to their issues. In respect to past issues that are outstanding, we are clearing them one after the other, and we believe in steady progress.
And a quick look at the markets. It is a bullish trend in the midweek trade as the all-share index gained 27 basis points to close at 111,902.61 basis points, up from 111,606.22 basis points on Tuesday. Investors gained 186.9 billion naira, with market capitalization closing at 70.56 trillion naira on sustained interest in more than 20 equities. Jopo Gold was the most traded in volume, while MTN Nigeria contributed the most in value traded. South Africa JSE Top 40 appreciated by 0.13%, while the Tunisia Tune Index appreciated marginally by 0.08%. Inyere, this is it on business.
Well, thanks, Benny, for the update. Let's move to Gombe now. As part of activities built up to the 6th anniversary celebration of the Inuwa Yahya administration in Gombe State, Governor Muhammadu Inuwa Yahya has inspected some projects within the state capital and also laid the foundation for the construction of the multi-billion naira State Secretariat complex. Emmanuel Akila reports that beneficiaries of the projects came out in record numbers to show how such projects impact their lives.
Students of Government Science Secondary School, Gombe, rushing out to receive Governor Muhammad Inuwa Yahya to appreciate the conversion of their school to a mega science secondary school.
We have so many changes like renovation of hostel, toilet and classes. We say thanks to the government of Gombe State.
Next is the State High Court complex and the State House of Assembly under construction, which are part of the Tree Arm Zone project. To complete the Tree Arm Zone project, Governor Inuwa Yahya lays the foundation for the construction of the State Secretariat complex.
This new State Secretariat complex represents far more than just physical structures. It is the manifestation of our belief that the civil service, as the backbone of governance, deserves nothing but the best.
At the head of civil service, I recognize the critical role this complex will play in streamlining government operation and improving effective service delivery to the good people of Gombe State.
The construction of the Tree Arm Zone and other development projects within Gombe Metropolis displays roadside mechanics. Therefore, the government set aside this expanse of land for the construction of the Gombe State Mechanic Village.
We will open up all the places and ensure that business thrives because there is relatively a very high degree of security in Gombe State.
The day's outing ends with the inspection of the dualization of the Ashaka Bujuga to FCE and Police Headquarters Road and others within the state capital. In Gombe, Emmanuel Akila, NTA News.
Now from Gombe, we head to Benue, where political office holders in the country must be ready to render account of their stewardship, deliver dividends of democracy to the masses, and take responsibility for their actions and inactions during their tenure in office. This was the remark of the former Minister of Information, Labaran Marco, during the inspection tour of projects across Benue State. Moses Ajawo Ode has more.
The construction of rural roads across the vast arable land in the Benue Northeast Senatorial Zone is to address challenges of post-harvest losses, improve connectivity, and speed up development of the area.
I'm very happy about this development.
Director Engineering Tif Kanongo explained that about 79-kilometer road projects covering Mbawa, Bokotiamna, 20-kilometer road, Ihu, 16-kilometer branch Ase Konya Road, linking Vandekia and Konshisha, 29.3 kilometer Adigbo Kotio Road, and 16.5 kilometer Ushongo Haegbem Road. And other projects are ongoing at appreciable level.
The moment from now, the next 4 weeks or so, we are going to start storm-based.
The former Minister of Information and Culture, Labaran Maku, and his team lauded the developmental stride of the state.
On the initiative of the projects we have seen is good strategy to build roads. It's good strategy to link up rural areas. It's good strategy in a rural state to open the countryside to development through road network.
Transforming rural roads to trunk A roads to very, useful interlink between communities for the exchange of not just social visits, but economy and commerce and so forth and so on is good.
This speaks to the fact that His Excellency is ready to fill up the backlog of the deficiency in infrastructure projects.
Moses Ajao Udi, NTA News.
As part of a strategic urban renewal drive, the Kano state government has inaugurated major road and erosion control project aimed at transforming Kano into a thriving commercial hub and emerging mega city. Governor Abba Kabir Yusuf made the announcement during the official flag-off ceremony for the new projects. Abdullahi Mustafa reports.
Short but critically important. The 3.6 kilometers on Giri Road is an easy access to the eastern axis from the airport and northwestern part of Kano City, yet it has been in deplorable condition for years. This situation repels motorists from the road for the fear of vehicle breakdown. In response, Kano State Government awards contract for its reconstruction.
And I still want to tell you that what you are doing, seeing is believing.
I want to add for the community here in Sabongari that more of such projects are coming to you.
Also flagged off by the governor is the Gayawa Erosion Control Project, which for decades has been a major issue of concern for several communities in Ungogo local government area. Not only to reclaim the land, the governor stated, the project also aims to stimulate socio-economic development of the area. In Kano, Abdullahi Mustafa, NTA News.
Let's take a breather. We'll be back in a bit. Many thanks for remaining with us. Nigeria's journey of migration from pen to computer is gaining grounds as the West Africa Examinations Council, WAEC, commences its maiden computer-based examination. Zenred Digmun reports that the Minister of Education, Dr. Alausa, while monitoring the examination, commended WAEC for keying into the federal government's reform, ensuring the nation rates of examination malpractices through upscaling standards.
I came here to highlight the importance of CBT. We want to train each child in this country to be critical thinkers, to be able to navigate their life issues, to be able to problem solve, and be a very successful citizen. And if we allow the exam malpractices that we currently, the level of impunity in our exams that we currently have, we will not be able to build the future. Processes they put in place. And what WAEC is even doing now, it's going to be extremely difficult, literally impossible for anybody to hack into the system because they're working to via what we call LAN, local area network.
He further notes that bearing in mind the persistent challenges plaguing the sector, the federal government remains resilient in reversing the tide.
Doing logistics of doing multiple subjects, that we're working that out. It's that where I think we're getting that to a science. Now you have to talk about infrastructures, and that's why we also have to challenge ourselves as government to provide infrastructures. Are we going to be ready to provide every single needed infrastructure by November? Absolutely no. But as we move into the future, we will be ready, yes.
Meanwhile, the Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board, JAMB, is drawing the attention of the general public to misleading messages circulating via a spoofed version of its 66019 shortcode. These messages instruct candidates, some of whom have already sat for the reseat examination and received their results, to reprint their examination slips for a reseat examination. JAMB states that these messages are not from the board, insisting that there are currently no scheduled examinations and candidates who have successfully completed the reseat examination and received their results need not be concerned. Such messages are fraudulent and intended to cause confusion. JAMB revealed that the only examination the board is planning to conduct, which is yet to be scheduled, is the foreign examination held in 9 countries across Europe, the Middle East, and certain African nations. It says there will be a mop-up examination for candidates who missed the main and reseat examinations and have been granted waivers only for the 2025 to participate in the usual mop-up for those who experienced biometric failures. And away from examination matters, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu warmly congratulates Ashafa Ajibola Erugbobo on the joyous occasion of his 99th birthday. Commending his remarkable life of dedication, principle and service, President Tinubu lauds Erugbobo for embodying the enduring values of discipline, integrity and compassion throughout his distinguished career and personal life. President Tinubu hails the nonagenarian as a pillar of family and community, a devoted father to remarkable children, notably Mrs. Abike Dabiri Erewa, Chairman, Nigeria Diaspora Commission, NITCOM. The President praised the nonagenarian crosses the centennial mark in good health and sound mind. Yesterday, May 27, is a day set aside by the Nigerian government to celebrate children. The day this year was celebrated to raise awareness about the rights and plight of children across the country. The day also seeks to protect children from vulnerable conditions as well as guarantee them access to education and other basic needs of life. And here are some of the sights and sounds of the celebration in Abuja and Lagos.
Today's event is a reminder of the importance of nurturing and supporting our children. We need to recognize their rights, their needs and aspirations.
Step of discipline. Parade is not just any kind of act.
And aspirations. We must ensure
my distinct paraders. Secondary school will be rendering a special parade.
Children are the future of a nation, and to help our country grow, we must ensure that children are safe from harm.
Security is paramount for the schools nowadays. We notice that some things are happening in other states, and we're praying that they should concentrate more on the safety of our children. Once a place is safe, it will be conducive, and then they can educate the children, not under fear.
I implore all children to speak out if anybody tries to bully them and to stand up for their rights.
Indeed, we should celebrate children every day. Now, the Minister of State for Regional Development, Ubamegari Amudu, has reiterated federal government's firm commitment to the recovery and sustainable development of the North-East region. This assurance was given during his working visit to Maiduguri, where he officially handed over major infrastructure projects executed by the North-East Development Commission. Fatima Isa reports.
The Ministry of Regional Development was established by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to coordinate development across Nigeria's 6 geopolitical zones suffered by more than a decade-long of insurgency, with the NEDC spearheading recovery in the region. The Minister of State for Regional Development, Ubamegari Amodu, led the formal handover of completed NEDC projects aimed at accelerating regional stabilization and growth of the region. Projects handed over during the visit include male and female wards of I&D Developmental Hospital, Maiduguri, a state-of-the-art Department of State Services, DSS clinic, office furniture and IT equipment for the Borno State High Court, nutritional items, educational materials and construction suppliers at the NEDC stores, medical facilities at the Central Medical Store, former grade, support to the Federal Neuropsychiatric Hospital and a fully equipped ICT center for the Borno State Agency for Mass Literacy. The minister emphasized that those interventions align with the Northeast Stabilization and Development Plan, NESDP, and support the Borno State 25 Years Development Master Plan.
We've crisscrossed areas from security to infrastructure to health to education. That signifies that there is a collaboration, a very good one, between federal agencies and the state governments who are hosts.
The minister restated federal government resolve to foster peace, rebuild critical infrastructure, and drive long-term economic transformation in the Northeast. In Maiduguri, Fatima Isa, NTA News.
Now time to talk sports, and Francisca is standing by. Francisca.
Thank you, Yenri. The Super Eagles of Nigeria are through to the final of the 2025 Unity Cup in London after defeating the Black Stars of Ghana 2-1 in a Jollof derby. The three-time African champions will now face the Reggae Boys of Jamaica in the final on Saturday, the 31st of May 2025. Let's also inform you that Chelsea have thrashed Real Betis 4-1 to win this year's Conference League Cup. Goals from Enzo Fernandez, Nicolas Jackson, Jordan Sancho ensured that the Blues win a historic European title. We now move to Abuja to give you an update on the medals table of the 22nd edition of the National Sports Festival as Team Delta continue to produce a dominant performance to lead the medals table on their way to a possible 5 titles in a row. The defending champions currently top the medals chart with 92 gold, 59 silver and 79 bronze medals. In second position are Team Bayelsa with 64 gold, 42 silver and 49 bronze medals. Host Ogun State are placed third with 53 gold, 44 silver and 52 bronze medals, while Rivers are fourth on the log with 49 gold, 40 silver and 48 bronze medals. Meanwhile, host Team Ogun have continued their medal haul with latest gold coming from the women's handball final.
Excited that we all have a joint work, like we fight to the end. So I'm so happy that we win this match.
I feel happy because at least we have the silver medal, but we...
A quick update from the French Open, where defending champion and 4-time champion Iga Swiatek defeated. That's it on Sports 8. Back to Yenri.
Many thanks, Francisca, for that update. And, of course, congratulations to the Super Eagles. So that's our package on News Extra tonight. Many thanks for watching. Do have a good night.